Well, the first thing I want to do is to congratulate Maureen Morehead, who is our new Poet Laureate of Kentucky. I look forward to her presentation in a few minutes. As Maureen will see, time passes swiftly in the busy life of the Kentucky Poet Laureate. Certainly, the past 2 years for me have gone by in a flash. I guess it always does when you are having a good time, and I have certainly had a good time in my tenure. It has been a fulfilling experience to visit communities all over the state and visit and meet so many good people who care about literature and the arts. In the cities and towns, in rural counties, in schools, churches, colleges, local libraries and community centers, even some restaurants and one beer joint. A wide variety of people have attended the talks, the public readings, and the writing workshops. If I've felt a bit tired at times and my energy was down at the beginning of a presentation, but by the time it ended, I would feel wholly restored from being in the good company of all these great Kentucky people who would turn out for a literary event. I've been so impressed by Kentucky people who have the true civic spirit, who have a sense of the public commons, and who have the willingness to sponsor a public arts event in their communities. If you listen to the news every day, it's kind of hard to feel very cheerful about the state of the world. The Kentucky people that I have met in the last 2 years have cheered me up considerably, and I thank them. I hope I can hold on to that good cheer. As a lifelong Kentuckian, I have always felt that I knew this place pretty well. But I was surprised to learn that I actually did not know contemporary country, the Kentucky country, the 21st century Kentucky, in a very deep way. If anyone has learned anything as I've run around the Commonwealth the past 2 years, it is me. In the past 2 years, I have crisscrossed the state several times, always looking at the landscape as I would drive along the parkways and the older two-lane roads when I could, aware of the watersheds that drain our rivers, the Big Sandy, the Little Sandy, the Licking River, Kentucky River, Salt River, the Cumberland, and the Green Rivers, and rivers on to the west. Always thinking as I would drive about the story of Kentucky, the facts of it, as well as the myths and legends that have come down through time and still cling stubbornly to this ground. For me, the Kentucky story begins with the retreat of the glaciers about 12,000 years ago, give or take a few millennium. Of course, the full story, the geologic story, begins many millions of years before that and includes such interesting facts as the Gulf of Mexico once covered this entire region. Archaeologists have said that people arrived in this part of the world soon after the glaciers retreated. That seems about the proper length of time for a good story to unfold. The arrival of European people, some with their African slaves, is a fairly recent development in the larger story of this land. Generations of storytellers, songwriters, playwrights, poets, fiction writers, historians, biographers, journalists, as well as writers of letters and keepers of diaries, all have in their various ways sought to utter this place, the human and animal life of this place. And they continue to utter it to this day. New books from or about Kentucky pour from the presses every year, and there are many readers to buy them. We have an abundance of book clubs, writers groups, writers conferences, small press publishers who enliven our literary scene. An online Kentucky literature is beginning to develop. Insofar as an almost former Poet Laureate gets to comment on the state of literature in Kentucky, I say that it has never flourished as richly as it does today. One reason that writing and all the arts flourish in Kentucky today is due to the ongoing and inspired work of the Kentucky Arts Council. It's been my privilege to get to know the individuals who make the Kentucky Arts Council thrive. I've been so impressed by the friendliness, but the professionalism of colleagues there who have been so supportive. All of us who care about the arts in Kentucky owe the council a debt of gratitude, and we owe more tangible means of support as well, especially in these times. I first heard of the Kentucky Arts Council back in the late 70s. I was living in California at the time, and my sense of Kentucky was not exactly up to date. When I left Kentucky to live several years in California, we really didn't have what we could call an arts infrastructure in Kentucky, in this region. We didn't have community colleges, county libraries. I was living in eastern Kentucky just before I went away, trying to write stories. And I had the sense that I was the only one around that was at work in that way. And then, as the 70s wore on, and as the Arts Council did its work, it was like lights coming on all over the state and all over the region, as artists had a way to recognize each other and to begin to form bonds of community. In the mountains, you know, if you live in one valley or holler and you're trying to write, there may be another writer just over the ridge down in the next valley. But of course, to meet that person, you have to go all the way down out of the holler and up the next one. And so I found that actually many people were at work as artists of all kinds in those days. And it's been my great pleasure on my return to Kentucky in 1979 to be able to, I don't know, just to claim membership in such a creative community. So thank you all.